to another edition of The Manual. He's Professor Woods. I am Chip Rice, and man, did you see?
Man, did you see? There's a lot to see.
Did you see that the 4 officers were charged in the shooting of Breonna Taylor?
Mm-hmm.
Finally.
How long ago was that? Do you remember?
It's been a couple of years. That happened back in 19 or 2020? I think it was 20. No,
Top of my head, I can't.
Yeah, it was 2019.
It was before George Floyd, so it was 19.
Yeah,
it was 19. Yeah.
It's been going on for a while. So the protests were going on the summer of 2020 with George Floyd.
But for sure.
It was a while ago when that happened. And then you had Travis McMichael was sentenced federally for a hate crime to life imprisonment plus another 10 years.
Right. We should add another 20 to it.
Yeah, just to be sure.
Yeah.
Make sure nothing happens for it. That was so heinous.
Yeah.
What they did, it was terrible. So and we highlight these things not because of us being racist or anything, but you have to note that there are racial injustices that are going on.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times we don't talk about it as men. To talk about how you feel on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
You go out,
Absolutely.
knowing that you're in a society where you have to you got some different checks and balances you have to do because of because of where you live and what's going on in our country.
That's right.
So so kudos to the justice system for putting their best foot forward on these situations, and hopefully we'll see some sentencing and some things done as far as Breonna Taylor's case.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Hopefully, because we've seen that arrest doesn't necessarily mean, or charge doesn't necessarily mean convicted.
Right.
So we'll see. That'll be interesting. But it's progress.
It is progress.
That's
It's
right.
progress. So we hope that that's going to happen. This is another edition of The Manual. So, on this week's episode of The Manual, we thought we'd talk about some things that men don't really highlight a lot, which is being disappointed.
Right.
That, we as men, we show our feelings in certain settings that are comfortable for us. So
Correct.
We can get emotional at parties, at games, in church sometimes, well, kind of limited in church, but unless you got the microphone.
Unless you have the microphone. That's right.
Just in different settings, we'll show some emotions, but a lot of times men deal with disappointment differently and don't always like to express it because it shows vulnerability.
Yes, there you go.
It shows that, that something happened that I didn't want to happen, and now it's making me feel a certain way. I'm disappointed. Right. And sometimes, ladies, it's hard for us to convey that to you because we're still trying to be Superman. We want to be, the one, with the rock, the pillar, everything. But men deal with disappointment.
We do. Probably more often than people realize. Yeah.
We don't always talk about it, but then if we continue to suppress it, then we have actions that come out of it that can become even more detrimental.
Right.
So I was looking at biblical history at some people that have been disappointed before, and the first person I thought about was Adam.
Okay.
And Adam was disappointed when he got called out. He's like, "Where are you?" And the first thing he did was blame his spouse.
That's right. This woman you gave me.
he put it on her. It was like it's her fault.
It's her.
And as a man, we got to be careful that when we get disappointed that we don't take it out on our spouse. It's just like, throw them under the bus like it was their fault.
Or blame.
Right.
Because sometimes we don't take it out, but whether it be mentally or verbally, we blame someone.
Okay.
And what blame will do is prevent you from making any changes.
Right.
Because when you can blame someone, then you assign the whole error to someone or something external to yourself.
Right.
And so now you don't have to change anything because it really wasn't you to begin with.
It wasn't my fault, so therefore I don't have to do anything different.
Which means it's destined to repeat itself.
It will.
It will repeat itself.
It's going to happen again.
So we blame. That's point.
So we blame.
Point number one.
So then I thought about Saul and his interactions with David, and sometimes when as an employer, when something goes wrong, we're disappointed. We blame the employee as if this is your fault. David was getting shine, and Saul got mad about it, and all of a sudden now, okay, this is your fault. I'm gonna take you out. So I think sometimes if you're in a business setting, what do you do when you're disappointed in your employees or disappointed in the outcome that they present?
So was Saul disappointed in David, or was he disappointed in how much the people liked David?
Probably more of the latter.
Yeah. Because I'm sitting here as I'm thinking, I'm like, I don't know. And it's different because if you're disappointed in David, then if you're disappointed in your employee, then what you should do is have the conversation, right? And coach or whatever it is that needs to happen. But in this case, I'm wondering, does David have a coachable offense, or is it really more of an issue that Saul had internally, and the fact that the people that he aspired to please, and that the people he wanted to elevate him was elevating someone else.
Okay.
And so now his disappointment, and this is the unfortunate part, his disappointment was deeply rooted in his own issues, in himself. Yeah. And so now he lashes out, point number two, when we have unresolved issues that are the root of our disappointment, we will lash out at other people, and try to inflict harm or penalty on other people. And that too is the destined to repeat itself conversation, because the root of it is not the person.
Right. So as a leader, you have to really figure out, okay, is their performance not up to par?
Right.
Or is it a situation where I'm insecure about who I am versus who they are? And am I unduly taking things out on people that they really didn't do nothing wrong?
Really didn't do anything wrong.
Wow.
Right. And that, I think, is a major issue, right? And we see it everywhere. We see the sports situation. Who was it? It was Brett Favre when they drafted Aaron Rodgers. I'm not helping him. Well, Aaron Rodgers wasn't your issue. Aaron Rodgers didn't ask for this.
He did.
He didn't say anything out of the way. But you're now disappointed that the team drafted another quarterback. Your reaction is not trade me, which he did later say. But in the moment, it wasn't trade me. It was, I'm not going to help him be successful.
Right. And that man hadn't done anything
wrong. Right. And all of the penalty, you lash out at the person. Because the inanimate object that you would like to lash out at can't really feel any of your emotion.
Right. And that's a conversation that he should have had with upper management.
That's a front office conversation.
Yeah.
But in the spirit of repeating itself, I believe Aaron said the same thing about Jordan Love, right? Several years later.
Yeah, right. Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's a sticky situation.
Sticky.
So then I thought about a real interesting situation with the prodigal son's brother, which doesn't get a lot of highlight because and for good reason. The emphasis is how you can go away and mess up, and the father receives you back. But he was still interested in his other son too, and the brother refused to engage with the family anymore because of how he felt he was treated.
Right.
And so sometimes as family members, we get in our feelings because we felt like somebody didn't treat us wrong.
Right.
I mean, somebody didn't treat us right as far as family is concerned.
Right.
There's some interesting dynamics there, because then now the cookouts and the family events, the restaurants, everything is awkward because we're in our feelings about something that we never even did a proper assessment of.
Right. Do we know what the prodigal son, his brother, actually did? I know he was upset when Daddy was making all of this fuss about when this prodigal son
Mm-hmm.
came back, but I wonder what the rest of that story is. Like what?
What the information we have is that he knew what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
He refused to go.
Right.
As a matter of fact, his
Mm-hmm.
father had to actually come to him and
Mm-hmm.
say, "Come on in here.
Right.
Your brother's back." And that's when he filed his complaint.
Right. Which I think is I know it's not sequentially the first point here, but that to me is the most common man reaction to disappointment, withdrawal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It is, I pull away.
Yeah.
Right? Some
It
cases
is passive aggressive.
it's passive aggressive, and sometimes even in your own house, you don't physically pull away, but you mentally and emotionally pull away. You shut down and withhold your true self, right? And so I think there's reasons for that. I don't know that sometimes it's intentional to be passive aggressive, but it is. I'm not comfortable being vulnerable because if I don't pull away, then now I have to tell you why I'm disappointed,
Right.
which might unveil some of the insecurities and challenges I have as a man. And since as a man, I'm not supposed to have any because I'm supposed to be strong and always on my game, then in this moment, I'm uncomfortable being anything less than that. So now I have to pull away because it's the only way I can deal with it.
And sometimes we make the mistake of thinking that the others are supposed to know how we feel. They're supposed to know our emotions.
Yeah.
Which is why we don't convey them.
Right.
But yeah, that's a huge part of it. Just kind of disconnecting and let me go to my corner. Let me go away. I want to be alone. Just kind of moving back. And we've talked about it before that men in those particular situations don't communicate well.
Right.
We have to learn how to talk those things through, because when the communication started with his father explained to him, he's like, "Man, all I have, everything I have is yours.
Right.
I've always loved you and will continue to love you.
Right.
Now I want you to see that this is not about us having a party for him. This is about your brother that, for all intents and purposes, should have been dead.
Right.
So we got to change the perspective that you're looking at it from.
Right. Right. So let me ask a question, because you bring up an interesting point. So you could make the argument that in the example you just gave, his disappointment really was rooted in selfishness.
Pretty much.
Or self-centered.
Yes.
Maybe I should say it that way.
Okay.
So I wonder how often disappointment is an output of self-centeredness.
That doesn't happen to men. See, the tricky thing about manhood is that we play the I do this and I do that card.
Right.
I pay the bills. I do this. I come home.
Come home every day. That's right.
I do whatever it is you ask me to do. So we play that card. So then that gives us the convenience to be selfish on a particular matter that we really shouldn't be selfish about. That's the card we play. It's like, well, I do everything around here. I pay all the bills. It's like, okay, now is that out of love and obligation, or is that out of love and obligation? Because isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Right. Right. Because you're the man.
Right. My wife is we joke all the time, but we talk about my reasonable service. She's like, I pay the bills. Well, that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You can't get a party for what you're supposed to do. But that's hard as a man, because you're looking at it as, hey, I'm doing this.
Right.
That's why. So girls, even when a man is doing something that you believe he's supposed to do, celebrate him for it.
Celebrate. I was going to say, because even if he's supposed to do it, it still might be Herculean to get it done. And if he's doing it and he's doing it well, the wrong answer is you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you don't, even if you don't make a huge celebration out of it, you can just say thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
Thank you. That's powerful for a man. That'll get you going to the next thing.
Yes, it will.
I also thought about Naaman. Naaman was a guy. He had leprosy. He was a general in an army, and he had leprosy. So he was sent to Elijah to go get cured from it. So Elijah says, "Okay, go wash in in the Jordan
Right.
River and dip 7 times, you'll come up clean.
Mm-hmm.
And he got mad. He was like, I could have stayed home. We got cleaner rivers back there than the one that's here. He was disappointed because he thought things would be different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest disappointments in a man's life is to be able to look at where he is
Mm-hmm.
and think that he should have been further
Further
along.
along. Yep. Yep.
That's a conversation that we really don't have because that's a high level of vulnerability
It is
right
high.
there.
That's right.
To be able to say, okay, I thought I would be here,
Right.
but
But
here's
I'm
where
here.
I am.
Right. Right. It is. Wow. That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Because how do you have that conversation? That's a huge level of vulnerability because you're like, okay, I'm here,
Mm-hmm.
but in my mind, I saw myself being
Right.
further along,
Right.
which is what causes some men to overcompensate
Yes.
in certain areas.
Right.
So I'm not where I should be, but I can afford. I really can't afford these clothes, but
Right.
I'm gonna get them anyway because I need something to put some
Yeah.
value on me.
Value. That's right. That's right.
I'm gonna get this car because I need something to put value
That's
on
right.
me. Because somewhere in my mind, I'm thinking that, man, I should have been further along.
Right. And it's value or overcompensating. The phrase I was thinking is living vicariously through.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But we see that a lot in sports.
And a lot, especially kids sports,
Youth sports,
coaching your
absolutely.
kids.
Yeah, yeah, coaching your kids, or even being the overzealous parent.
Mm-hmm.
It's this interesting moment where, and this is what we should understand is even though we want to appear buttoned up, some of those behaviors expose what's really underneath, right? And so yep, living vicariously through, overcompensating, whatever it is, it generally shows I should have been, I wish I would have, if I could do it all over again moment for us. And since we know we can't because I'm 50 and I can't go back and play sports now, there is no sport where a 50-year-old can enter it.
It's a wrap.
So it's over.
You can't even do ping pong.
Nah, probably not. Too fast.
Hand-eye coordination.
Yeah, that's right. And so now what we have to do is whatever it is we're doing, we intensify it and push other people to be what we really think we should have been.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because we won't talk about that. I thought things were going to be different in my life.
Right.
So.
And I'm disappointed that they're not.
Yes.
Right. I might be even depressed that they're not.
Right.
I can't reconcile the fact that what I thought when I was 20, I never was able to accomplish, and now I'm 50.
Yeah. One of the greatest conversations I ever had, I'm going to call his name, a guy named Fatin Horton.
Mm-hmm.
We were in church together, and he said to me, he said, Chip, you're behind. I said, what? He said, you're behind. He said, you're behind where it is you should be at this point in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you have one of those conversations, and then of course all the cursing,
the cuss,
and everything else wants to come up in you, and want to start talking about look at somebody else's life or try to come back to that. But I had to stop and say,
maybe
I have to consider that.
Right.
Where should you be at this point in your life?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The turning point in Naaman's life was he listened to somebody who gave him good advice.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, man, if they had told you to do something else, you would have done that. So just go do this.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, you got the Peter and Jesus disappointment, where Peter's like, man, I thought we were going to get this title. I thought I was going to be a bishop in the church. I thought I was going to be a head elder, an apostle. I thought I was going to get this title, and now it looks like you passing over me. You get ready to fade away.
Mm-hmm.
That you're not even going to be a part of the scene anymore. So I'm lost.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm disappointed that who I thought I was going to be, what I thought I was going to have, it doesn't seem to be available to me anymore.
Or what I expected you to give me.
Yeah. I thought you were going to, because they did have that conversation. Okay, who's going to sit on the right?
Right.
Who's going to sit on the left?
And that was a rhetorical question because when you ask that question, you have a thought in mind.
Yeah, it's like, I got two great candidates.
That's right.
Right. And so this is real conversation because a lot of people especially in church, jump ship
Mm-hmm.
to go do something
That's
because
right.
they felt like that the person didn't acknowledge them or wasn't going to put them in
That's
place,
right.
or they didn't understand timing.
That's right.
They didn't understand that there's a time for everything.
That's right.
That if you wait on the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna always get you where you're supposed
Always.
to. And Peter in that moment missed it, so he ran away. But Jesus, his disappointment was that he's like, y'all all left me. But because he's Jesus like that, he
Right.
rose from his disappointment.
Yes.
He said, I'm gonna still accomplish this task.
Right.
And I'm gonna rise up, and I'm not going to throw shade at y'all, and I'm not going to disqualify y'all just because y'all had a bad moment.
Right. Right.
So as a husband, as a father, as a leader, I have to remember that people sometimes become disappointed, but that does not mean that you dispose of them.
Correct.
That you still work with them.
You still work with them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this has been another edition of the manual. Please like, subscribe, share on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. We'd love to have you be a part of our conversations. Give us your comments, some of the things that you think, so that we can put those out there, man. But it's good to be able to talk as men about the things that happen in men's lives.
That's right.
So until next time, he is the Professor Woods. I'm Chip Rice, and this has been the manual.